This is Daily Flash with your hosts, Andrea Jackson and Mitch English. Trending news and entertainment. This is Daily Flash.
Hey everyone, I'm Andrea Jackson.
I am Mitch English, welcoming you to Daily Flash. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We might say goodbye. I could definitely say that the way we have communicated over the past 10, 15, even 20 years or so has changed a lot. Like how we use the terms LOL, it comes into our vernacular. Something that's going away though is the semicolon. They did, especially in younger writers. So like when you're reading books, maybe that might be 20, 30 years old, you'll see the semicolon more often than you would today. Matter of fact, it's dropped by about 50% since the year 2000. English language books are seeing about 200 every 205 words to once every 390 words.
Okay.
Now. So about cut right basically in half. And a lot of them are because they don't really know how to use the semicolon.
It's a tricky punctuation.
Yes. So the definition of a semicolon is indicates a pause, typically between two main clauses, is more pronounced than and indicated by a comma. So you'd have a semicolon. Well, they're attributing a lot of this to Kurt Vonnegut, who is a famous author and such. He came out about 20 years ago and said, listen, and this is his direct quote, okay? Do not use semicolons. They are the transvestite hermaphrodites representing absolutely nothing. All they do is show that you've been to college.
Oh.
Okay, that's what he had said, right? So by saying that, it makes you look like a smarter writer if you don't use it, according to Kurt Vonnegut. So they're saying it's happening. Some people say it's overthinking and it leads the audience. I don't think any of those. It actually helps. Sometimes it's like when people use a cuss word, it kind of grabs your attention.
Yes.
Like when people use a semicolon, it kind of grabs my attention for a second. But if you overuse it, then it wouldn't.
But to me, it's just like, well, why not just put a period and start a new sentence, or a comma and make your sentence shorter? To me, if you need to use a semicolon, you're using too many words.
That it is. Possibly so.
That's my opinion.
And we're in a world where things are much more succinct, and we put in the words afterwards. It seems like it would work better, but that doesn't necessarily
Reminds
the
me
case.
of the exclamation point episode with Elaine on Seinfeld.
She was writing a
Why
book.
did you put the exclamation point there? It doesn't belong there. Too many exclamation points.
And students these days can barely form a sentence anyway
This is
because
true.
they've been shorthanding stuff for so long. That this is what they grew up with. I mean, they're not even teaching cursive anymore. So
They went on to make the muffin top of the morning. And she goes, no, it needs exclamation mark. Top of the morning to you as you read it. So do you still use it or not? I think the only places that I really have seen the semicolon is when it's followed by a parentheses afterwards and turns into a smiley face.
Yes,
That's the only time you
Yes.
ever see stuff like that.
That's a good point. Isn't that the wink?
The wink one.
Face?
Yeah,
yes,
the wink
of
one.
course. Here's one from the No Good Deed Goes Unpunished file. Cyclist in New York tried to save a venomous snake from being run over by a car and was bit in the process. He spotted the copperhead snake lying across the roadway, and when he reached out to grab him, the snake bit him with precision and speed right on the hand. Two Good Samaritans rushed to help and called 911. The victim's finger ballooned up and turned a dark shade of purple. That looks horrible as he was taken away in an ambulance. Team of doctors who specialize in snake bites were called in to treat him. He spent 2 nights at the hospital. Can you believe 2 nights?
That
and
is
was
a long
unable
time.
to use his hand for about a week.
And just leave snakes alone. That's what I do. I don't get anywhere near them.
Exactly.
We had that cobra in the studio last week.
It's not like a copperhead looks like a good kind of snake, too. It's not. The thing looks like it's gonna bite you and it's gonna hurt and it's gonna fill you up with venom.
Yes.
I've said if it's a twig and it looks like a snake, I don't even get near that, because it'll turn on you.
I remember walking the dogs, and it had rained. It was one of those big rainstorms we got here, and I was crossing over a wooden bridge that was above water. A giant water moccasin went
Which
right,
are poison,
and I almost missed it because I had my head down. I was probably on my phone listening to whatever, and I looked up for just a hot second, and I saw this thing like move across, and I stopped in my tracks. But I would have walked right over the damn thing, and it probably would have bit us.
They're territorial, too.
Yes.
They'll go after you. So think about that. Something we have to worry about here in Florida. I don't think anywhere else.
No.
Maybe in New York. That's why. Who would have thought that a copperhead snake would be in there? We do have a couple snakes in the studio, and that's James and Matt.
Snakes on the plane. No wonder what's going on.
More Flash after this. Stick around. We love all the animals. Just not very crazy about snakes.